But in that, in 1978 when he died, I said that he was a millionaire. One of the things that I look at in my family is I look around and I realize that that $1 million of wealth has dissipated and is not really visibly evident in his progeny. But that's not important in my observation and my reflection. What's more of a tragedy and what's really hurtful, and which is part of the compelling reason that brings me to trying to author such a book as A Guide to Writing Personal Legacy Statements, is it's 1978 and his dad was a slave, but he figured out how to make $1 million. That's invaluable information. He was a minister who built a church and had a following and gave sermons about philosophy and thought every single week for years. He married my parents. He blessed me as a little baby. And I don't have anything in writing that I can read and say, wow, that's what he thought about that. Nothing. It's a silent conversation. The facts that I share, including his name, I didn't know until, unfortunately, within the past 3 months of doing this project. I knew he existed. I've been to the church. I knew all these things, fragments and fictions. We had all these, what do they call them, the folklore, the tales. There were all these tales in the family that weren't true as I sifted through and talked to the living relatives that we had become, you know, co-opted in the stories that got told over Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner. So I share all that to say that it really is invaluable. I yearn and wonder at the possibilities of what those two singular legacy statements contained if they had been written, and what they would mean to my family today, as opposed to the money that's left from the $1 million that was accumulated. What about the knowledge that was lived in just those two lives? So I share all that with you to say, each one of us, this is not about something that's for rich people. This is not about something that's for privileged people. This is about something that is for people who are connected and care about those that they're connected to. It's about people that can say, you know what, I have a son, therefore I can envision and foresee that I might have a great-great-grandson. And our life is a life of trial and error. We learn how to get up because we fall down. And through that, we learn a little bit of persistence. And we go through stages of development, going back to Erickson. Everybody's like, oh, they're terrible twos. No. He's developing a sense of identity. He's asserting his own sense of power or her own sense of power. They're becoming an individual living being. And they're asserting themselves. And we call it the terrible twos. So all of that, again, is how do you see your future? It's not about the money. It's about how do I want to help my grandkids maybe have a little better life, because I know I did this really crazy thing when I was 18 that I don't want anybody, especially my grandkids, to ever do again. You know? And it's only something that I can tell them, because you can only touch the stove and get this lesson, or read it because I touched the stove and wrote it down. And then the other cool thing about it is, and this is something that Tim and I developed as we talked about the book, is it's not just a book on how to write a legacy statement. It's prompts and questions, but the way that you record it is any way you want to. A tape recorder, an iPod, MP3 player, video camera, your cool laptop with the new little camera and the mic right there, and you know, whatever you have, it gives you the questions and the ability to think through a process, a starting point, but to capture it. The whole idea is you don't have to write it down, you have to capture it. You have to think about it and you have to share it. And now we have to make it generative, so we have to put it into a format that's going to last beyond our lifetimes. So all of us probably are old enough to remember Betamax and VHS and DVD, and now I don't know what we call this stuff we got on the internet, Java, I don't know what all that movie stuff is, but the technology is constantly changing, so now we have to start thinking about how are we going to capture it from a technology standpoint and those kinds of things. And so now if you do want to put it on video, just a heads up, you better write it down or have it transcribed in the writing, because maybe your Betamax player videotape that you put together in 10 years, nobody knows how to convert it to whatever they're playing on the new green machine thing. So you have a personal legacy statement, and you talk about legacy planning. What is that? What is a legacy plan? What is a legacy plan? What is a legacy plan? That's the question I get whenever I'm out talking to people. What's a legacy plan? So I have a simple answer. There's 4 basic building blocks to a legacy plan, and then it becomes customizable and unique to you from there. But to have a plan, you need 4 things. The first one is you need to have a personal mission statement. There's a lot of stuff on the internet on personal mission statements. It's a really hot topic with professionals and self-improvement. Stephen Covey has like the bomb mission statement generator, like the bomb mission statement generator. I mean, Stephen Covey's the man. Hire me, Stephen Covey. But that's your first step, is to have a personal mission statement. What your personal mission statement does is it kind of directs your overall focus in your day-to-day activities. And then you need to have your second step, which is your strategic life plan. And your strategic life plan kind of takes that personal mission statement and the day-to-day activities and gives you application to a 3-day plan, a 5-day plan, a 10-day plan, a 3-month, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan. You start to plan what you're going to do out this way. All of a sudden, you start to get little check marks. You start to accomplish things. You start to accomplish more, and you start to develop mechanisms and processes over decades that you really figure out how to work a 10-year plan. So that's number 2. Then number 3 is your personal legacy statement. So why did you write number 3 first, you say, because now we're at number 3? Because I think that's the one that's the most important, because the first 2 deal with you personally. Those are things to get your own personal life in order. But the personal legacy statement deals with your children, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, people outside of yourself. And so when I was evaluating it just within my own thought process, I said, I have nieces and nephews. I don't have any kids, but I love them to death. They lived with me partially when I was in law school. I go to visit them all the time. They call me Uncle Donald, and it makes me feel all funny inside, so it's really cool. And I've had really cool experiences that I want to make sure that they have. So in going through that and evaluating it vis-a-vis my grandparents and Abram Lee and these different things, that was the book that I did first, and that brings us to step number 4, which is your family mission statement.